down early. OpTic Gaming able to strike first.
Yeah, OpTic with that 1-0 lead. Quadrant, like we mentioned earlier, might be reeling a little bit after that Game 5 loss. Heavy loss, almost a stake-tacular between Sentinels and Quadrant. Now Quadrant, the task doesn't get any easier as they're up against the Goliath in Halo. OpTic Gaming with 75% on this hill, looking to go up 2-0.
Yeah, and Quadrant, I mean, you have to feel for this team, right? Because
yeah, oh yeah.
Chick is such an important piece to this team.
He's their best player, straight up.
Yeah, he's incredible, and he got the best play of Season 1 with the back-to-back overkills.
Yeah, Chick with that overkill. I'll never forget it against G1. And yeah, it's a bummer that we're missing out on the likes of Chick, Druck also having some travel issues. But hey, opportunity comes in the form of a substitute to Foxy. Let's just clear this up for everybody in the chat wondering, well, why did Native Red lose their spot, but Quadrant was able to retain theirs? Native Red pulled a substitute off the official roster. Quadrant took their coach and slid him down onto the official roster. That's why Quadrant was able to maintain their pool play spot, and they're playing here against OpTic.
Trippy was thinking about putting a bullet through the back of Lucid's head. He thought better of it. And, well, Hill 2 going to be going to Quadrant. As we see the overshield pop down, it's going to be Lucid's overshield to grab.
Oh, Lucid already good enough without any help. He's got the overshield sniper to work with as well, but doesn't spot anybody. Doesn't have anybody in his sights. Now does. Body shot landing on Legend. Lucid looking to push up with that opening break. Slides a snapshot over to the middle of the map, but doesn't connect twice. Spots another player there pushing up below. The flank is on. The push is on as well. But OpTic are handling it really, really well as Sika goes down, and Lucid looks to maintain control of that sniper rifle. But just as I say that, he goes down and loses snipe.
Quadrant's trying to break through from the bottom, but Trippy has other plans. He's able to take down Legend. And, well, unfortunately for him, he was looking left, he was looking right. There was just no one to find, and Quadrant able to find those kills and looking more and more likely to find the break on this hill.
Yeah, and let's point out the fact, OpTic was at that 75% mark on the last hill, but it was Quadrant coming from behind. This is exactly what the score looked like, a mirror image, splitting image of the previous hill. Will the results be the same? Can Quadrant come back? They have the opportunity right here with OpTic going 3 down. Trippy, last player alive, but he's going to elect to just stay over there at that Riverside, earn all 4 spawns for OpTic collectively as they look to push out as a unit. Grenades flying through the door of Big Door as APG goes down, but Sika with the heatwave kill. Unbelievable. 2 down for each squad. OpTic breaking through, retaining control of that hill and some power weapons.
Now Lucid needs to finish this one. Only one player left. It's a substitute to Foxy, who's putting some damage. The substitute versus the MVP. Lucid gonna back down from that fight. That says something, am I right? But here we go. Legend able to get that kill in Quadrant. They keep themselves in this hill. It felt like OpTic Game were gonna run away with this hill, but Quadrant is still in it.
To Foxy with the shot call and the shots to take down a few members of OpTic. And oh, look at that. Legend with that overshield. A well-timed overshield at that. If he hadn't popped, Trippy would have taken his life and that overshield. Instead, it's a potential trade out as we do see that APG with numbers in a push here. OpTic. But it's Quadrant scoring 2, Garrett. OpTic had the push, they had the pressure, but they didn't have enough.
Yeah, and this is tough. Suddenly, Quadrant's going to be getting so much momentum from that last hill. That was hard fought, and it was earned from the side of Quadrant, and suddenly they're set up once again. OpTic Gaming have to find themselves a break, but they have to deal with this player in particular. Sicko with the sniper rifle, but nothing gonna happen. APG finds the break, and OpTic Gaming's in control.
2 hills in a row where OpTic was at the 75% mark. Quadrant, maybe if they're lucky, the 10% mark. But it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish those hills. And with that being said, Quadrant, the victor of the last 2 hills, now with the lead. And my God, Garrett, it's deja vu all over again. 3 down for Quadrant. APG popping off with that triple. And again, it's that 75% to 10% on this hill. Can OpTic finally close it out?
APG just doing his best to stay alive, give his teammates information, and take the shots when they're available. And just too much ground for Quadrant to cover. That hill was firmly OpTic's to take.
OpTic with the Slay advantage, but this one is deadlocked here. 2 on the score. And with 2:30 left in the game, Garrett, this one looking like it'll probably go the distance. We should see plenty of action and plenty of hills captured here. Oh, as this one's up top mid, the mosh pit hill. As OpTic Gaming looks to make a mosh pit out of Quadrant and take all 4 down.
Hey, you usually expect it to be a mosh pit, but Trippy, I mean, he's like, might as well call it a library. He sat down, got a book, cracked it open, and got a couple chapters in. There was no one putting any pressure down in that hill, and it's given OpTic Gaming a huge amount of a lead time to work with in this hill.
And there's the 4 down we were looking for as OpTic regains control of the kill feed and this map. 75%, 80% now unanswered to Quadrant 0. So just as we saw Quadrant put together 2 really strong hills, we see Trippy put together a collateral, a Quigley.
2 for 1. Trippy taking the coupon to the store, exchanging it for a lead in this game, 3-2, and OpTic Gaming has come to life.
Unbelievable response regain. This is what you look for, though, from the top teams, Garrett. They've got that regain ability. They've got that will to win. And when you got goats like APG, Formal, Lucid, Trippy, they're just all goats at this point. You used to maybe say Lucid was the only goat or Formal, but now they're all goats. Now they're all world champions. For good reason, as we see OpTic starting to put it together here in Game 1.
Bro has to try to back out of that hill and not going to get away in time, but Lucid, he's looking for the ghost in the back. No one to be found. Sniper goes into the hands of Legend, but OpTic Gaming still having access to that hill, but maybe not for long. Heads are being ripped off. It's up to Trippy to keep them away. The Heatwave's doing a great job at it, but the blue team swarms. Quadrant able to find the break.
Yeah, Trippy, last player alive there. Does a great job, though, to take down Sika. That was actually huge in a 1v4, taking down 1. Not necessarily a win condition, but it evens out the probability as OpTic Gaming are now 2 down, potentially 3, but no, that's a huge takedown. But 3 do, in fact, go down for OpTic Gaming. So just like that, just as it looked like OpTic had a pretty firm control of that B hill, 3-4 go down, and now it's Quadrant on the board.
It's not disastrous, though, right? Because the next spawn for OpTic Gaming is towards the overshield. They had the better position. Trippy uses it as bait to get behind the enemy lines, and although they might let this hill get close to capture, they have the ability to break it just in time and to take this game home.
3, 2, 150 on the clock. Still plenty of time here. If you're OpTic Gaming, you're absolutely in a position where you've still got to play for this hill. Trippy looking to stay alive there, but he's got the help from his teammate APG. 2 go down for Quadrant. And despite being on the brink of capping this hill and tying it, this is looking like one last final push for Quadrant.
They have to be careful, though. OpTic Gaming can't let anything come through unnoticed. One break, and we're probably going to a final hill. So close to getting this one captured. Can they get there in time? No, Sika just couldn't get there. 2 Foxy was the last alive, and OpTic Gaming take game 1.
Yeah, OpTic Gaming starting off really strong and then letting go 2 in a row that really looked like should have been a 3-0 game for them. OpTic looking really strong, but not able to put the finishing touches, but you got to love that adjustment in the mid-game to finally secure those finishing touches on the hills. I got to give credit to the coach Lunchbox for coming up with a strategy. Look at Trippy with 15 captures, 2 minutes and 50 seconds of occupation time. That is absolutely, what was his KD ratio? 81 plus 8. That is an that's one of the greatest games you'll see all weekend from Trippy.
I told you, man, he was in the library. He's cracking open a book. There's just no pressure. They were doing so much work around the hill, keeping Quadrant away, that really Trippy, he found himself a nice little reading corner, got himself a book.
What do you think? How to pwn noobs?
You know, no, I think probably like Percy Jackson and Lightning Thief, if I had to guess. Trippy's my age. You know, that's what I grew up on. So
psychological thriller, maybe.
Yeah. Oh man, it's crazy how effective OpTic was at keeping Quadrant away from the hill.
Yeah.
And that's where we saw OpTic was a little bit weak, was when Quadrant was able to get into the hill. It got a little mixy, and Quadrant was able to get those kills. But if they had their setup, it felt almost impossible to break.
Yeah, OpTic looking a little slippy, trippy maybe that last game. You know, they're on thin ice. They were wobbling a little bit, a couple, footsteps running in place, but they ended up landing on 2 feet, not falling and, cracking your skull or your hip on the ground. We're old. The hip would really be the thing I'm more worried about. But nonetheless, OpTic Gaming regaining form, getting those answered back with the 2 kills in a row to Quadrant's 2 in a row. as they take the 1-0 lead in this series and look primed for a 3-0.
This is it's tough for a Quadrant because every time I'm gonna be like, well, this is the Quadrant team, but then you have to remember it's not Chicken. It's not any offense.
2Foxy's a OG though. He's like he knows how to play.
Yeah, he played in the Halo 5 World Championships multiple times.
Yep.
Like, he's a great player.
Yeah.
It's just we're talking about Chick, and Chick was, I think, arguably their best player. I think now that you've added Legend to the mix, like you have to talk about him potentially being the best. I mean, SLG is SLG. Guys, let me tell you, if you ever see SLG on land, go say hi to him. He's like the most charismatic, awesome dude you'll ever see.
Quadrant's got a great.
I've always heard that French people are mean.
Yeah.
I met SLG. I think French people are the best now. You know what I'm saying? I'm learning French so I can interview him one day.
Oh wow, that's a very
bonjour.
That's an ambitious goal you have there. How's it going? You only got one word.
Oui, oui. Merci.
At least you can introduce yourself.
Merci.
There you go.
I'm getting the French down. And that's the other thing. It's what's so interesting is aside from OpTic, they're doing their thing. They're world champs. They didn't make any changes they didn't need to, but Quadrant did, right? And it's one of the few times where I've seen team changes that happen between two teams, right? We saw Navi get a change and Quadrant get a change. I felt like both the teams got better off those changes. A few times you'll see it, and well, OpTic Gaming, they're gonna come out, try to get these rockets. Trippy says, I'll take them to my grave. One left, Legend last alive.
And I actually like that play there from Trippy, knowing that he's not going to get any resources or any kills out of those rockets. Says, well, almost like a kid picking his basketball up from the court after he goes down a little bit, takes his ball and goes home. Trippy takes the rockets, or his life, I should say, leaves one rocket left in the tank. And that's not going to be enough for Quadrant to regain the lead here, as they do end up tying this one here at 5. OpTic really trying to figure out where their form is, all spawning in the back of C, pushing out on the P side here. This one's going to be a big fight. This looks like every player is engaged as 3 go down for OpTic, 2 for Quadrant. It's a net positive win as they're now up 1.
Down 1. He's, oh my God, Trippy. He was one shot. He didn't care. You know, that doesn't really show up on the stat sheet too much, those 2 assists. But those are big plays to be made. But Sika makes a bigger one, gets behind everyone, gets 2. Quadrant has that early lead, and look at OpTic Gaming's position. They're trapped.
Yep. Yeah, and if you're Quadrant, this is the map to jump on them. This is the map and game type combination to take advantage of the sandbox, take advantage of your opportunity here to tie this one up at 1. If not, going down 2-0 to the defending world champs is a tall task that I would never want to stand up to if I were Quadrant. As 3 go down, OpTic now with that 3-kill lead.
Look at this, Lucid, knowing how strong the Commando is. This is the last chance that they're going to be able to play with this weapon being so strong. It's going to get an update in Season 3. But players like Lucid can absolutely break this weapon and make it look like a god-tier weapon of choice. And, well, don't be surprised if you see him melt some absolute banging kills.
Lucid, a player that we rarely see with a battle rifle, right? He might start with one in the map, but more often than not, Lucid is looking for the sandbox. Now with that shotgun out, looking to take advantage of it. Look at it. All the attention on Lucid there at Cuts. He doesn't even need to take any shots here because Quadrant is so focused on him. All of the members of OpTic Gaming recognizing the attention is on Lucid as they take down 3-4 for Quadrant and now spread it to a 6-kill lead.
Yeah, that's why you get a player like Lucid, right? He's like a gravitational well, a black hole on the map. Everything rotates around him, and when there's no objective other than getting the slays, you have to account for Lucid. It opens up opportunities for players like APG, Trippy, and Formal to just put in the exact spot where it's easy for them, right?
Yeah.
They can play to their comforts and let Lucid carry the burden of being that main slayer.
It's just such a big win for your team when you're able to be the focus of the communication on the other team, really making them stress and press for your death. As we see that again, Lucid goes down. Can Quadrant take advantage of the opportunity and the numbers advantage here with Lucy going down, Trippy going down, APG going down, Formal, last player alive as he goes down as well. And just like that, it's back to a 1-possession game.
Yeah, but you see the risk of relying on your main slayer sometimes is when they're the first one to go down, it kind of opens up the floodgates.
Yep.
Quadrant get that first pick, they keep pushing forward, and OpTic Gaming get wiped, and SLG wants to have a little bit more. He's pushing in with the rest of his team. OpTic Gaming need to recover, but the shot from 2Foxy is too good. Lucid sees the respawn screen, and suddenly they're only down 2.
2Foxy with the shots through the palm trees sends Lucid on a vacation, a 10-second one. as he checks out the respawn screen. Now back in the action, aggressively pinging. Look at that, 3 pings for Lucid, 4 pings for Lucid. I'm not sure if he's frustrated or really trying to emphasize that we need to take this player down. Another ping from Lucid. APG finally spots it. Trippy with the backsmack though. Numbers advantage again for Quadrant, but oh my god, this must have been what he was pinging. Lucid with the rockets and the double kill.
Lucid knew what the important play was. We had to get these rockets. He gets them, gets 2 + 1, 3 in the favor of Lucid, and the rest of the team collapses. Quadrant's run is over, and suddenly the separation is back. OpTic Gaming are surging forward, and Lucid's leading the charge. He's going through the front lines. Nothing can stop this man.
Last I spoke, it was a 4-kill game. Now OpTic nearly spreading it to 10. This is what you look for from the best teams in the world, able to turn it on when the pressure is at its highest. Lucid, the MVP with 2 shots down on 2 Foxy. Legend going down. APG doing his best to stay alive. Formal in the corner. Numbers advantage here for Quadrant. This feels so topsy-turvy. It's almost a shock to me, Garrett, that it's a 7-kill game despite that incredible sequence we just saw from Quadrant.
Well, how do you play when your teammates go down, right? You saw Lucid. He immediately slowed down the gameplay. Unfortunately, he gets caught out, but I like
Again?
Yeah, right? Get behind everyone, but OpTic Gaming, seeing the respawn screen, you start to get a little bit nervous.
Wow.
Formal goes down, and now he's separated. There's a timer.
Okay.
Quadrant has the ability to collapse once again without Formal's help.
Yeah, and this shotgun was doing so much work for OpTic in the early goings of this game. Now in the hands of 2 Foxies. He spots 2 players at the trash can, trying to put them both in the bin, but no. Incredible answer back there. But look at this. 3 sequences in a row, Garrett. 3 down for OpTic. Make it all 4. It's now just a 2-kill game.
The wall is starting to shake, but is the foundation secure? Quadrant is starting to roll through. How much resistance are they going to see? Now just 1 kill separates. We're going to see Quadrant continue this push. APG's in trouble. He needs to survive. 2 Foxy wants to get in, but APG's making it hard.
Now, here's where I'm looking for the cavalry to maybe arrive here for OpTic Gaming, or APG to slip out with the positioning. Oh my god, APG, that's why he's a veteran, down to no shields at PD, and in a 1-kill game, that's one that we could look back on, Garrett, and say that was the reason OpTic won. APG survivability there, and then the squeak ability there to squeak out and survive was unbelievable.
But they gave up the rockets in the meantime. It's a great veteran play by APG, but Legend has a rocket, and the game is tied. Suddenly, that lead that we saw all game might not matter. 4 players from OpTic in front of Legend. There's 1, and now the word is out. Quadrant's pushing forward. How does OpTic react? They react by seeing the respawn screen. They're all going down. The green wall is toppling.
3, 4, 5 sequences in a row that Quadrant gets the better of OpTic Gaming, and after not having much luck in this match, now have a 4-kill lead. Only 2 kills remaining here. Legend down to low shields, can play patiently here, take numbers advantage off Lucid. He's gonna go straight for the pin, but Lucid's gonna win it, 49-47.
Sika cleans it up, gets the 50th kill, and the Quadrant.
Whoa.
Make the comeback, and it was the back-to-back collapses that get the job done, right? Because it was them working as a unit, getting the team wipes on OpTic Gaming that made the difference. At the end, oh no, go ahead.
This is why I talk about possessions all the time. Keeping it within a 1 to 2 possession game is so critical, and for Quadrant there, they never let it get past. Right when it looked like it was about to get to a 10-kill lead, 3 possession game, that's when they turned it on. That is why it's so important to stay within striking distance, keeping it within 4 kills. We saw Quadrant do that to perfection in this game, and when it mattered most, when the opportunity was there for the taking, they took it from OpTic and now have this series tied 1-1.
I think this shows the talent that there is in the European Halo scene, right?
Yeah.
We've seen Na'Vi take a game off FaZe now. We've seen Quadrant without Chick.
With a sub.
Arguably their best Slayer not there. With a sub in, take a game off OpTic. These European teams are going to be a factor this year. They're very good. But are they good enough to beat the world champions? I'm not sure. I'm not convinced. The way, the game didn't go their way, but the slay before the final one, Legend versus Lucid, both of them get aggressive. It's main Slayer versus main Slayer. We're talking about their star versus their opposite star.
Yeah.
Lucid takes the fight. And I love that Lucid always feels that confidence that he's going to take whatever fight is necessary for his team to win the game. And honestly, this is a game. This is a team that really runs through Lucid. Like we said, he's a gravitational well. Everything revolves around him on the map. And you saw Quadrant. The only time that they've really felt comfortable pushing was when they were able to take Lucid down and use those numbers advantages.
Well, and there was a call you made in that previous game that really stuck out to me. It was when you mentioned it was the live fire match, the MVP versus the substitute. What a like, talk about two ends of the spectrum. But for me, that you think that favors OpTic Gaming, right? The MVP is on their side. But I don't know. Now that I think about it, maybe for Quadrant, they're coming into this series and this tournament kind of loose, right? Kind of playing like they have nothing to lose. They got their coach playing as their fourth now, right? There's not going to be any bad takeaways for Quadrant if you don't have a great performance here at this tournament. Taking games off of OpTic and still finding yourself in that top 8-12 would be a massive win for them.
Yeah, I think Quadrant, this is like a tournament that no matter what they do, they're going to feel pretty, as long as they don't get knocked out of pools.
Exactly.
They're going to feel good about their result. This is a great opportunity for them to feel better as a team, right? It's like, damn, we did this without Chick. Like, imagine what we're going to do with Chick. But at the same time, I think this is a great test for OpTic Gaming to give themselves a reality check before championship bracket sets in that, yeah, we might have dominated at Seattle. We might have been the best team by far, but we can't rest on anything right now.
Yeah.
This European team is taking games off of us. Like, that was not going to happen last year.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, exactly. We're seeing a better performance from the European side of competition, and they're down a man, right? They're down maybe one of the best main slayers out of EU. So a great job here from Quadrant, knotting this series up at 1. And if you're OpTic Gaming, you think maybe they're overlooking Quadrant a little bit, or do you think Quadrant's just that good that even with the substitute, they're able to take them down in a game type that you maybe lean into OpTic, right?
I don't think OpTic's not taking them seriously. I think it's more that Quadrant recognized their opportunities and took them and executed on the highest level. It's clean Halo at the end of the day. It's how they won that game, right? It was by getting clean collapses down on OpTic Gaming.
Yep.
What we saw at the beginning of the game was OpTic was able to stay alive for longer than you would expect a player here and there. That Quadrant weren't able to get that satisfying finish. But once the first finish happened, it happened again. Again.
Yeah. 5 in a row.
It's just
5. That is unbelievable. Again, hopefully we're not belaboring the point, but Quadrant with a sub in 5 straight sequences is able to outslay and wipe OpTic Gaming?
It's tough.
That's tough scenes, but I mean, if you're OpTic, you're still in this series. It's still 1-1, but like I said, I think we're kind of missing that in that Quadrant. Just maybe not like the miracle of the tournament yet, taking a game, but pretty impressive nonetheless. And now, if you're OpTic, you got to go back to the board. We have a Empyrean CTF for Game 3. We saw FaZe mess around earlier against Na'Vi. OpTic, they can't do the same here, or they'll go down in the series.
The good thing about Empyrean is that, OpTic Gaming has some of the best slayers in the game. They have some of the best power weapon utility that you could expect. I would definitely expect Empyrean to almost be a runaway game for OpTic, right? Because when they have firecrackers on their team. The second you light them, they're going to shine real bright. And, if it's formal, if it's lucid, if it's trippy, if it's APG, they can all pick up the sniper and put on a performance. They can all make the play that's needed. And I think it's scary when you watch teams like OpTic, when you watch teams like FaZe, the way that they play on the pit. Empyrean, for people that aren't aware of the name change, it's a pleasure to watch.
Yeah. No, I really enjoy it. Slayer, the verdict's still out, but Empyrean CTF has delivered some incredibly, my goodness, how about that G1 versus, was it FaZe or G1 versus Sentinels? Suspector flying in for the triple kill, stopping that goal line stand. Absolutely unbelievable. So I'm here for it. I'm a big fan of Empyrean CTF. I'll say it.
Yeah, and I'm looking over at my stats, man, right now. He's filling in some of the information about this game. He has OpTic Gaming winning this game, but he says OpTic are 6-8 on Empyrean. Now, Empyrean CTF. Now, I think the reason for that is because so often when they played against this map, it's been against FaZe, right?
Yeah.
FaZe has been an absolute pain in their side. When it's not against FaZe, they have a very good record.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see of that 6-8 record that OpTic carries into this match, which of those 8 revolved around the FaZe clan, as we see Quadrant here looking to take down another one of the Goliaths in the scene. OpTic Gaming, FaZe Clan, you're 1 and 2, but it's been the EU squads, the 1 and 2 from the EU, that have given them the best challenge so far of this tournament.
SLG's thinking about wrapping a corner, and he gets it right when Lucid looks away, and SLG's being frustrating. They've gotten Lucid down to 1 shot, but you gotta finish this fight. You can't let him get his shields back. Lucid's gonna punish you every time, and now suddenly, look at Lucid. He's like, you're gonna leave your base open? I'll take it. 4 go down. Lucid's already there. Sniper, flag, doesn't matter what he needs. He's gonna make his team win.
Great timing with the drop there from Lucid. Knows that he has to slay out. Doesn't have the slays. Doesn't have the numbers. 2 down for OpTic Gaming. SLG finally going down for Quadrant. Lucid, though, is going to have to continue to slay out. 2Foxy goes down, shifting that favor now in the side of OpTic Gaming. Curious as to how far that flag is, though. It doesn't look like it's really left that side of the map. No, as we have a reset here. Great defense and regain from Quadrant, but just like that, it looks like Lucid is about to be on the run once again.
Yeah, Lucid stayed alive this entire time. Quadrant got a whole reslay, tried to get back, but they never took care of the problem. This is the factor. It's Lucid with the sniper rifle. They don't take care of it, and they're going to get punished. Flag is away. There's no one from Quadrant to stop this one.
OpTic with a carefree first flag scored for them. That's one of the easier varieties. But in that splitting image from earlier, Quadrant was able to stop OpTic in a very similar fashion and form as Trippy went back to the well, back to the long haul stairs, and was able to land some snipes and really just put the pressure on as we see the no-scope go down, 4 down. Lucid standing still, Garrett, like it's a disconnect, but it might just be Quadrant losing full.
Oh, no, they have to deal with Lucid. What is he doing? Is there... I'm so confused by Lucid's gameplay right here. It's like they just haven't been able to deal with him. He's letting his teammates go forward. He's finding kill after kill. Finally gets taken out. He did like a whole lap, but the flag never got away. And well, it looks like this one's gonna get returned. Quadrant able to recover.
And another impressive recover there from Quadrant, but haven't shown the offensive prowess and the slays needed to come back in this game. 2Foxy.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, there's no way Lucid's playing like that.
Yeah.
If there's not a crash.
That, yeah.
He was like, the man was just stunting, going around, places standing still. And hey, you know, there had to be something going on. So there must have been a crash on the side station. We'll get back.
That's wild because it looked like all 4. I didn't see a player drop.
What's crazy is one of the players from OpTic crashed, and OpTic was still winning the gunfights. Yeah. It's like they were still able to do their thing, and well. No, crashes happen. It's unfortunate, but they have to take care of Lucid. I mean, he
was 6-1, 6-0, I guess.
6-0. He didn't die. It's just incredible how good Lucid is. There's some players that it's hard to wrap your head around how good they are and how good they've gotten, right? When I think of Lucid, when I think of Renegade, when I think of Frosty, like these are players that all came up around the same time. Yeah. And I feel like we're witnessing the next great generation of Halo.
Yeah, these are your current day Ogre 2s, Walshies, T-squareds of this scene and of this community. And what a great way to see the mantle carried on, especially when you got guys like Walshy still continuing to be a part of the community, a part of the scene as a caster now. And now he gets to watch players that are really going through that same parallel moment in their careers. So I think you're exactly right. The likes of Frosty, Saiyan, Renegade, probably our top 3 players in the league, and unfortunately there can only be one winner. And I guess fortunately for FaZe, though, you've got 2 of those 2 players in Frosty and Renegade on your team, and that's one of the reasons why everyone in the community has regarded this FaZe Clan roster as the best one ever assembled in Halo, maybe.
Yeah, I think there's a true argument for it, and I also think it's a true test for OpTic Gaming. At the end of the year, it didn't seem like anyone really had the chance to beat them. Cloud9 did their best. Now Space Station Gaming, but once they reset themselves, it was all OpTic Gaming, and now it feels like we're truly seeing a clash of the Titans. Like these are dynastic rosters that are coming. You think about it. SSG,
yeah,
their dynasty roster, like they went on a huge run.
Yeah,
FaZe, I mean, what else do you need to say about FaZe? 3/4 of those guys dominated the Halo scene for 3 years. You know, there's There's nothing that compares to the kind of reign of terror that they were able to provide. And now this new OpTic Gaming roster, I mean, what they were able to do at Orlando and Worlds, it was really shaping up to be the next big Halo dynasty.
Well, and that's what I wanted to, a point I wanted to bring up to you, Garrett, and ask you, see what your thoughts are. What's it like for OpTic Gaming as the defending world champ? Usually that comes with the target on your back going into the next season, but it really feels like, in every sense of the word, it's FaZe who are the favorite. They come into this tournament, in fact, with the #1 seed. So talk me through what you think that mindset is like for OpTic Gaming. Do you think that gives them an edge, having to reclaim and fight back for that #1 spot? And what do you think that dynamic is like for them?
I think that it doesn't phase them at all because you're gonna phase. I don't think it phases them at all because that's been Lucid's career. Lucid's career has constantly been one where he's been overshadowed by the dominance of the players that came just before him. The Frosties, the Snakebites, that whole entire Sentinels roster, what was CLG, OpTic Gaming, Tox, Sentinels. He's had to live in their shadow for so long, and I think a lot of players who keep getting overlooked, who don't get put in that conversation because of what's ahead of them, because of the back that they're chasing, have a tendency to fall back, to regress. Lucid used that as motivation to get better, to become the best player in the game, to seize his opportunity. I mean, you think about it, everything has gone right for Lucid, and it's not because he was lucky, it's because he stayed ready. He waited for his opportunity. He got the team that he wanted. They got put on the greatest org that they possibly could have gotten, and Lucid has been one who's seen opportunity and has taken advantage. And it's like I don't know of another Halo player who's had to battle through that sort. I don't want to call it adversity, but it's almost like as a person, how do you handle that sort of frustration every day when you're playing at the top of your level and the only thing that they want to talk about is Frosty. The only thing they want to talk about is oh, Tox is doing this, Tox is doing that. They're on a dynasty. Yeah. There's no one like this. They're the greatest of all time. And you're sitting there, you're putting together a resume. You're playing great. You've been getting the grand finals, but you just can't beat them. And then a new game comes around, and suddenly you're the best player in the game. Everyone's talking about you. The stage, the lights, they weren't too bright. And that's why I think Lucid's going to go down as one of the best players to touch the sticks by the time he's done.
All right, great insights and analysis on this rivalry between OpTic and FaZe Clan as we hop back on board in this series. Game 3, OpTic versus Quadrant. Important to note that in this reset, OpTic should carry that one flag into this next game. So despite the score reading 0-0, it's a 1-0 lead here for OpTic.
Pushing forward right away, gets Legend out of his face. He's going to leave that for Formal to pick up. These two working as a tandem, and it's sniper to sniper, side by side. They have control of everything. Quadrant's in trouble.
Oh, Formal peeking into the base, spots nothing, but that bait
every corner
hiding in the corner. Unbelievable. That's one of the reasons, maybe, I don't know, not necessarily crank up the sensitivity. What do you think, Garrett?
That's why Mom and Dad told you left, right. You double check.
You got to look both ways.
You can't not look both ways. Oh, man, you got to cross the street the right way. Formal. He's been around a minute. Sometimes you get complacent with checking your corner.
Well, and that's especially frustrating because Formal on the brink of that killing spree gets that first death. Now snowballs and compounds a little bit into that second death for Formal. And it correlates to Lucid now going down, Trippy going down, APG going down. So there's a cause and effect to everything here. So Formal not able to secure that killing spree for himself leads to a team wipe here, and Quadrant now with an opportunity to regain map control.
Where did we see team wipes like that before? I feel like we've seen this story of Quadrant getting team wipes against OpTic Gaming and that resulting in a victory. I feel like if they can keep doing the same, they might be in a good spot here, but Formal immediately recovers, gets the sword, takes down the stragglers in the back of the base, and suddenly OpTic Gaming's the one that's able to wipe Quadrant.
OpTic Gaming with a slight favor in Slays. Looks like they're that's +7, +8. So almost 2 team wipes separating these two teams. That should be enough to pull a flag out. Yes, it is. Oh, then the spawn trap is on over here. It's nice, but Formal might have pushed up a little too far. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a split over towards the back of flag. Yes, got to take a look back and recognize those spawns. But for OpTic Gaming and Formal, it's another flag out past the 50-yard mark, but Quadrant with a pull of their own.
Right, it's Legend in the back, but the problem is there's no follow-up for Legend. He's able to stall it for a little bit, but the rest of OpTic Gaming are here. and it's more of an annoyance than a deterrent. They're able to get the flag in, and they lose the rockets, but they're going to be fine. They have the flag cap in. Even if they do die, they're going to have at least an opportunity to try to reslay before this counter cap goes through.
Oh, and just like that, though, 2 Foxy and company taking down 3 from OpTic. Lucid, the last player alive at that snipe tower. And the last line of defense, look at Trippy trying to sneak his way across, but he doesn't have the numbers advantage. He could find himself in a 1v2 situation on the other side of the map. As APG goes down, Trippy now, you just got to stay alive on the other side. But Formal gets the double kill, but it's not enough, as Quadrant does, in fact, put that flag in. Trippy with the slow play, though, able to take down 2 for Quadrant, and it's a full team wipe instead. So a lot of resources, all resources used for Quadrant there as they go all 4 down.
All right, but they did get the flag in. The problem is OpTic Gaming, they have everything you could possibly want and more as they're starting to approach this base. Quadrant's going to have to find kills where there are none to be found. I think Formal learned his lesson.
100%.
He checked left and right. He's looking at every corner.
You could see, not necessarily the fear, but that hesitation in Formal's visor there, really making sure he checks all of his corners. You almost saw him go, oh, whoops, I didn't check it. Let me look, just in case, swing the reticule around. Didn't spot an opponent, but it's the fundamentals, right? It's the fundamentals at play for Formal as he locks back in, looking really strong here in this game with a 10-4 KD ratio. And Quadrant, they might want to be in the radio 10-4. We got to do something here. Down 2-1 to OpTic, needing another answer.
This is your answer, is Lucid right here, just finding the solution to get his team forward. Gets 2. The flag is out, and now Lucid, he's going to use that distraction of the flag being pulled. It's going to pull everyone away from him. He gets some free ground, and he makes it up awfully quick.
Huge no-scope connection there with Legend. It was the last shot he had in that sniper rifle, and it takes down Trippy as he goes back to the respawn screen. Formal, though, doing his best to regain map control and numbers at a pivotal time. 15 seconds until both the rockets and overshield are up. Formal going down. 2 Foxy looking to push out of his base, but he's got his back foot planted here because of the pressure from APG over at Snipes. Sika takes down APG. Trippy goes down as well. Numbers advantage at a crucial time, but it's Lucid sneaking away with that overshield for free. You got to imagine Quadrant's going to get rockets right here, right?
They have to find the solution. They have rockets, but it's a repulse, but the repulse is late. Overshield doesn't matter. Sika able to find the answer, but there's no follow-up in sight. OpTic Gaming are still storming to the beachfront.
Hopping back on board here with the 2 FPS GOAT. Formal pushing up through that green wall. A long-standing member of Green Wall. Right there with Scump for me as some of those famous legendary members of OpTic. And for OpTic, wow, what a how incredible that is to have Scump and Formal on your roster. But just like that, OpTic going 3 down, Quadrant going 2 down here. So a little bit of tipsy-turvy back and forth. No map control to speak of, but with those sniper rifles coming up, you got to imagine more slays are soon to come.
Right, if SLG can find this kill on Lucid and get forward and have his teammates take that sniper away, they'd be in a great spot to cook. Instead, Lucid gets his rightful spot with that sniper rifle, and he's going to try to make some magic happen. He's looking for anyone to peek their head, dare to peek Lucid, and well,
wow.
You see the results. The second you make yourself known, Lucid's going to hit the shot.
And that's huge there. Doesn't get the kill, right? But does enough with the damage and the no-scope landing to push the opponents back. Bides himself a little bit more time, but it's not going to be enough time as Lucid and Trippy go down. But look at this, Legend and the rest of Quadrant still fighting off that back foot from their side of the map. Despite that, though, you got 2 Foxy on the other side. That's going to be tough for him to stay alive as he's the only one over there. But now the cavalry has arrived. Legend through the green wall. Takes down APG. This looks like it could be a potential run here for Quadrant, but they're going to need another round of slays.
Oh, no, he gets 1. Legend looking for the second. Trippy's going to be able to shut it down, and that's probably going to stop this push in its track. He gets another, getting maximum value. Now Sika, he pulls the flag, but he's always lonesome, and you can see they're triangulating on the position. Lucid and APG are going to take care of the straggler.
Yeah, like you said earlier, these pulls, more of the pesky variety than the lethal variety. as we finally see OpTic clearing out their base, taking down all 4 members. And again, it's another timely team wipe. Rockets and Overshield up. So for OpTic Gaming, really compounding, rolling that snowball down the hill. Now with the full Overshield to work with. Surprised we saw such an early pop there from Formal. He had no pressure. I really would have expected a player of his caliber to maybe wait to pop that, especially with 3 down. You could have really just popped it right now, and if Overshield comes into question, you could argue Formal should have had way more.
Yeah, very surprised he popped it right away, especially since Lucid won the fight for Rockets. I think the thing is, like, you know, can't have too much of a good thing, I suppose. Stay forward. Lucid gets 2, 1 more lurking around. The flag's out. It's moving. It's going home. 2 Foxy gonna have to be back down. And now it's back. Remember, there's a 1 cap lead already because of the crash. So they're actually up 3-1 right now. And Quadrant's quickly running out of time.
Yeah, that extra insurance goal for OpTic Gaming going to be huge when we look at the end result, because I sense that Quadrant has it in him to get another one on the board, but with only 3.5 minutes left, one is not going to cut it. Quadrant, with Lando Norris as their owner, really going to have to press down on the gas and speed up the pace of play here if they want to take this one from OpTic. But just as I say that, OpTic regains form. 3 go down for Quadrant. OpTic looking strong here in Game 3.
Right, and Quadrant's been having problems where when they're down the straight, right, they're fast. They're the fastest car on the lane, but it's turn 4, it's turn 5, right? It's the small, precise turns that are killing Quadrant. They're letting players leak through. They're getting themselves caught up on the small plays. And OpTic Gaming, the second you give them an inch, they're catching up. They're putting more separation on the track.
The second you give OpTic an inch, they take the whole lane. 2:45 left to go. APG with that sniper rifle takes a pop shot on Legend, and as a team up 2, those 2 shots are great. Those are absolute win conditions for OpTic because it sends Quadrant scurrying back to their base, but SLG has an answer for it. Double kill for him. 2-2 in the feed, and Garrett, this really feels like the push. Once Legend spawns up, this is going to be it for Quadrant. If they want to score the 2 to tie it, it starts with a push right here.
Oh, wrapped around the wrong corner. 2 Foxy seeing the respawn screen, and it's frustrating because now OpTic Gaming's in a position where they don't have to move forward. They can take strong defensive positions and just ensure that no car can pass them.
Oh, love that strafe there from Lucid. Perfect job peeking into the corner, not giving up all of his body as 2 Foxy. Gonna have to throw his body off the map. APG with that overshield, but at least 2 Foxy babied it down to nothing. APG now with just those regular Molnar shields to work with, and the rocket gonna be enough to take him down. But OpTic, all they have to do is hold the line. All they have to do is hold form.
You know what I love about watching Lucid is so often you see him using everything to his disposal. A lot of people pick up that repulse. They're only going to use it as a defensive tool. He's using it to gain timing. He's moving fast. He's grooving. He's trying to be as fast as possible. And it results in him just being untouchable on the map at points. 22-14 in this game with just over a minute left. The last push from Quadrant looks to be dying. This flag going back home. OpTic Gaming looking stronger and stronger.
Yeah, and that was another one of those pesky pulls. Not fatal. Legend, last player alive for Quadrant with that flag pull. You had to imagine he wasn't going to do anything with that flag as he goes down easily, and it's a little bit more of the same. 3 go down for Quadrant, and with 45 seconds to go, Garrett, this one looks all but wrapped up.
They might try to put another one on the board real fast. They have great positions. They just need to get the slays. Trippy breaks in. Trippy gets 2. Formal, he says, I know my job. Let me grab this flag. We're taking this one home.
Yeah, Formal. Last season was the main flag bearer for OpTic. More often than not, when the flag went in, Formal was the one putting it home. Now with his hands on a potential 4th cap here. And a dominating Game 3 finish here as OpTic Gaming are going to go up 2-1 in the series and have Quadrant on the brink.
Little stat pad towards the end. OpTic Gaming get a clean win, and that's what they needed. Just a clean win where there wasn't really much doubt. They had the lead the entire time. It was only ever cut down, never tied.
Yeah, and I think I just did quick. It looked like plus 20 to 25 for OpTic Gaming. So Very similar to what we saw from FaZe Clan, just absolutely demolishing teams in slays. But despite that, it's not a 3-0 series win for OpTic. It's not a convincing series win for OpTic necessarily, as they still got to fight for one more. Up 2-1 on Quadrant.
Right, and the thing is, for Quadrant, right, is you weren't able to get it done on OpTic Gaming's, I think, arguably worst game type. They're not a great flag team. They're not bad, right? They're 6-8 is their record, but you have to count five of those losses.
5 of those were against FaZe. So.
5 of those losses are against FaZe, but still, like, you're still dropping. They're dropping flags pretty regularly. Sentinels, that's the one map that they took off them, 1-2 on Argyle that went in favor of Sentinels.
And you know that it's not a good game type for OpTic, because outside of that Sentinels loss that they took, OpTic steamrolled over Sentinels, but they lost to them fairly convincingly on the Argyle CTF. So that tells me that they've got a lot to work on here in the CTFs. And so much of these tournaments, Garrett, come down to the RNG dice roll of map and game mode combinations. If you're going to be the best team in the world, like OpTic thinks they are, they've got to shore up CTF, because that's just not going to cut it. They might find themselves with a top 3, top 2 finish, but you're not going to beat FaZe with a record like that.
Right, and now Quadrant, they weren't able to get the job done on arguably OpTic's worst game type. But now on the other side, you're going to OpTic's bread and butter. You know, it's Stronghold's recharge. They're undefeated thus far this year on this map. Quadrant hasn't had the same success on this map, and suddenly the deck's looking stacked. The odds are climbing higher and higher for Quadrant to try to pull off a win, because everything is just not aligning. You had your opportunity to get yourself set up for a game 5 going to OpTic's worst game type, but then suddenly, now that hasn't happened, it's the Grim Reaper staring you down.
Yeah, and this one, I guess here's one positive for Quadrant. We're going to recharge. So Lucid not going to have an opportunity to grab that heat wave. We saw him absolutely dominate with it so far in this series, but he's going to have to find something else. Maybe that disruptor, maybe that shock rifle here, as we hop on board with a game 4 on recharge.
Gets right into the face of Legend, and well, he's not going to be able to stay alive. They're going to give up that repulse to Sika, and SLG able to get camo and shock rifle. So hey, you know, this might be OpTic's best game type, but when you give everything away, any team can beat you.
Great start here for Quadrant, but we've seen great starts, Garrett. We've seen great starts from Quadrant here in this series, and even previously against Sentinels, but they weren't able to cross the finish line. SLG now with that shock rifle. Look at the double variety. There's a tough spot to hold shock rifle. A lot of options for those grenades in the corner, but I love the smart play here, utilizing that pad on the ground, getting the shock damage out, and don't look out, Quadrant up 30 and rolling a potential trip cap as well. Wow, that was a great start for them.
And the shock rifle has been so deadly in the hands of SLG. He gets Formal to 1. APG's trying to keep Formal alive. It's not going to be successful, but still yet to score a point is OpTic Gaming, and Lucid's the last alive. He can finish the stronghold at A, but they're going to lose B immediately. 2Foxy's going to see that rotation to C. I think he's going to call for a counter. I think Quadrant's going to be moving their way to A.
Yeah, A was barely captured there for OpTic. It was just clinging to that last second they needed as they finally got the finish. 3 go down for Quadrant. What do you see here, Garrett?
Insane, right? They saw the counter rotation to A, but OpTic Gaming said, yeah, we're rotating to C, but we're leaving Lucid at A, and you got to beat down our best Slayer. He gets 2 right away. The noob combo puts in work, and Quadrant, they had the opening trip cap, but suddenly OpTic Gaming find one of their own. They're getting right back in this game.
Yeah, and that's the luxury you have when you have guys like Lucid, Renegade, Frosty, maybe even a Boo Boo Doober on your team. You can send them off by themselves, right? And so often in Halo, the winner of sequences, battles, and games comes down. It's a numbers game, really. But when you've got that individual slaying prowess, when you're one of the best players in the world, you can afford to send them on, send them out on a solo mission. Sika on a solo mission of his own here with that camo, looking to flank into the cap point of C and take Trippy's back. He does just that. Great job here from Quadrant. Does it look like OpTic Gaming was putting a little bit of pressure back on him? Quadrant with an answer, but just like that, B going in favor of OpTic. Gonna have to make a play here. You cannot give up that B control. If you do, OpTic is gonna regain the lead.
Yeah, Lucid tries to play quiet right there, right? But the problem is that Sika saw Lucid and Trippy when he had camouflage and knew that Lucid was somewhere. And it didn't matter how long Lucid waited to try to get behind, be that snake in the grass. Sika was going to find him, and he was going to cut off the head. and he was able to get those kills, and suddenly things are starting to look better and better for Quadrant. It's a trip cap, and SLG has quick access to the opening hill.
OpTic, just like in that one win we saw for Quadrant, the Slayer, whereas 5 sequences in a row where they won the team wipe against OpTic. Seeing a little mini version of that here in this Recharge Strongholds. Oh, don't make it deja vu in another one. Oh my God, it's back-to-back sequences here. Oh, SLG with the double kill. 4 down for OpTic Gaming. A trip cap for Quadrant, and they're nearly tripling up on the lead.
Can you suffocate the life from OpTic? They're trapped, surrounded at the long haul. SLG awaits at the back. He gets one. The teammates are coming. They're collapsing. Everything is going right. 4 down once again in the spawn trap. It's still in place. They have A block. They're spawning in long haul once again. It didn't work at C. They're going to go back towards B, but Quadrant's ready.
Oh, and if you're a team in the mix, you got to be watching this series licking your chops, because OpTic, the gods of Halo, are looking mortal today, Garrett. 200 to 50. This is unbelievable. Quadrant hasn't let up.
This is the best performance in Strongholds I have seen in Halo Infinite yet. They are dominating in every single lane. They're not letting OpTic Gaming get together. They're not letting them have a moment to breathe. It's a suffocating, constricting squeeze that they have on this Stronghold games. And OpTic is, they're squirming. They're trying to break out, but there's just nothing they can do.
SLG with the Hail Mary grenade, and why not give it a toss when everything is going right for Quadrant? SLG now pushing back into the B. He says, I quite enjoyed that triple cap earlier. I'll take another one, as OpTic looks to regain control of A, but that A cap is not going to stop the bleeding here, as OpTic Gaming might just bleed out and send us to a Game 5.
That is the most convincing victory I have seen yet. But it's not over. Okay. 249 to 50. C, Lucid in C. A's getting transferred over by Legend.
Pre-nades.
I don't think they're going to get it.
No pre-nades. He had the pre-nades.
Nothing. One more. They're still in the hill.
It was Lucid the pre-nades.
Lucid breaks.
It was the pre-nades. You saw Legend had 2 grenades to work with, and you have to imagine the desperation is coming for OpTic Gaming. You lose nothing but a couple frags, which you'll pick up off of a dead body if you just let it rip towards the A door instead. Quadrant with the slip up, and OpTic regaining their footing.
OpTic Gaming now have firm control, but no mistakes can be made. 2Foxy gets into the back of C. He's made 1 shot, but SLG cleans 2. C transfers hands, and this is over. Quadrant just played the most convincing game of Strongholds I have ever seen. That's the world champions that they just did that to.
That's the world champions. That's the previously undefeated Strongholds world champions, as they take their first L, and it sends us to a Game 5, Garrett. And do you recall what happened in the previous Game 2 Slayer?
I think Quadrant won that one, right?
Quadrant won it 50 to 48 with 5 back-to-back-to-back sequences where they earned the wipes. That's exactly what they did here. It was the five back-to-back-to-back-to-back instances where they got the numbers advantage on OpTic. And goodness, we saw what that did in the Slayer variety. On a Strongholds variety, it's looking like that. 250 to 60. Quadrant are on the brink of an upset in Game 5. Garrett, what is happening?
I think we're witnessing one of the greatest moments in Halo history, if they can get this done.
This would be one of the greatest. This would be the greatest upset on land maybe in Halo history.
I mean, with a
sub versus the world champ MVP, defending world champ MVP.
Right, and I think a lot of people are going to say we're overreacting, but
right,
I don't think people understand how good of a game of Strongholds Quadrant just played. I mean, this is like watching the greatest athletes do what they do best, like on the field.
Yeah, well,
it's like watching Tom Brady lead his team down in the 2-minute warning to score a touchdown.
No.
Some of the best Halo I've ever seen.
You're comparing it to other NBA players. No. I'm going as far as it looked like LeBron James and Kevin Durant showing up at Rucker Park in New York to play 2v2.
Yeah.
That is what that looked like. How does Quadrant, with a substitute against the defending world champ, the MVP Lucid, put on such a dominant performance? And like I said, G1, SSG phase, we all watch scoreboards, right? They have to be watching this going, this could be the tournament for the taking right here. Because even if OpTic comes away with the win here in Game 5, it doesn't quell any of those concerns that you have for getting here in the first place. This should have been a 3-0 sweep, all things considered, all the stats considered. But this is looking like Quadrant's for the taking. And we talked about how loose they might be playing, because outside of getting 4th place in pool play, there's no such thing as a bad result here in this tournament. Coming across the world with a substitute and taking OpTic to a Game 5, that's already a win condition for them.
I want to take a moment. I'm not going to get all hyped up and excited. I just want to.
Oh, get hyped, Garrett.
I want to say that Game 4, that Strongholds, that's the prettiest game of Strongholds I've ever seen.
Absolutely.
It was a pleasure to watch what Quadrant was able to do, but you have to be able to do it through all 5 games, and this Slayer's going to be an important one. OpTic Gaming, they're on the ropes, but they're not out. They're getting right back, and they just heard the bell ring. They're ready to get into this ring.
Good start here for OpTic Gaming. Getting those first 4 kills, getting that first camo, as they start to check off those boxes towards a win condition here in a pivotal Game 5. It's wild to think how these pools would shake out if OpTic Gaming were to lose here. Instead, looking quite strong. 6-1 is the lead. APG with the few remains of that camo as his body turns to remains as he goes down. But it's OpTic with an 8-2 lead, up 6.
Yeah, and Quadrant were able to get that camouflage. They had it like the utility, but the way OpTic Gaming played their lives right there, knowing that hey, we have to deal with a camo. They buddy up together. They make sure that they have each other's help, and that they're going to trade out whatever comes towards them. They're able to get themselves a big lead. But Quadrant, this is what they do best. Remember, it's the 3 down, that we saw constantly in that game too that made the difference.
Yeah, and it's the 3 down, and you're probably going, well, what about 4 down? Don't you want 4 down? No, in this instance, 3 down is the move because it allows you to stagger that 4th player, to send them to the respawn screen on a little bit of a delay, as that opens up the potential to cycle through spawns. As Quadrant putting a little bit of that together, earning the trades out, and now it's OpTic, despite the hot start, only up 2.
And it's who do you rely on for Quadrant? You have big players on your team.
It's looking like the
SLG,
sub.
But it's the substitute who's coming up big. It's the guy who shouldn't be on the stage, who's doing what needs to be done for his team, sitting at 5 kills, 6 kills now, as he's been leading the slaying charge for his team.
Oh, camo is up, but it's Quadrant sliding in, trying to sneak it. I'm so curious. Did SLG get a burn there? It looks like he did. I don't see camo down, so that's big. If you're going to go down, at least make sure you burn that camo. Don't give that to OpTic Gaming. If you do, they could continue to snowball on this lead, Garrett.
He didn't even just take it down, right? He got one with him. He got the trade out, and just great plays by SLG. And this is what we saw from Quadrant, right? OpTic Gaming went on their runs. They were able to have that lead early in the game in Game 2, but it's keeping it within striking distance. As long as you're within a couple slays, at any point this game can turn around. It's Slayer. It's fickle.
I'd even say a couple possessions, Garrett. I'd even say up to 8 kills. Why? Because Quadrant has shown us that they're able to come back from deficits like that. They were down 9 to OpTic Gaming in Game 2 on Street Slayer, facing a 6-kill deficit at one point in this game. Can they come back once again? They look primed for it here, continuing and maintaining that 2-kill deficit.
You see all of OpTic starting to get corralled towards the fridges, and 2Foxy, he's licking his lips. He wants to break through. His teammates are coming from behind. The escape is nowhere. Trippy goes down, and 2Foxy's giving the info to his team. He says, I got damage down. Finish this fight. 3 go down once again. Trippy by himself.
Quadrant have the lead. Quadrant have the lead. They're up 1. This is unbelievable. I just got chills witnessing this because it feels like something special is about to happen. Legend pushing up with those 2 dynamo grenades. Gonna seek some intel and some damage as APG does his best to stay alive, but he's not gonna last long. Quadrant with a 3 down of their own, and at the halfway mark, Garrett, we're tied 25 all.
Legend just beat the GOAT in the 1v1 to take this lead once again. Camouflage is up, and it can be the difference maker. Legend versus Lucid, Star versus Star. The strafing is enough. Legend wins the fight, puts down the MVP, but Formal has been able to steal away the Camouflage. They have to take down Formal. You can't let him make an impact play. He's out of ammo. There's nothing he can do. He has to watch the Camo player run away.
Oh, you're going to have to work with a Needler looking like Walshy against T-Squared on Sanctuary here, and a potentially historic Game 5 here at HCS Charlotte. 2 kills separating these two teams. 2 down in the feed, though, for Quadrant. A 3-kill lead now for OpTic Gaming. Legend still only has a Needler to work with, but he's going to earn the killing spree with it. Unbelievable.
But OpTic Game was able to take back that lead, and it's because Formal was able to get away with that Camouflage. It made all of the difference. And, well, Quadrant, they're trying to recover as best as they can, but they have to take this man down. 11-5 throughout this game. He's the GOAT of console FPS. Formal ices up in Game 5s.
Sticking on board here with the double FPS champions. He gets melted quickly, able to take down Sika, but with the damage results looking really awful here for OpTic, they could potentially go all 4 down. Thought we had an observer crash, but we are back in this one. Hold on to your butts, ladies and gentlemen, because this one's going in. This one's going to be an unbelievable finish.
Lucid finds one. Legend's there to get the cleanup. Formal's lurking in the back, but Legend's been so confident this game. They respect each other. They leave it down. And this is, I think we're going to start to see the game slow down quite a bit as we start to get into the ending positions of this game. Legend tries to soar forward, but that's 2 kills that you just can't afford. OpTic Gaming are taking advantage.
APG going to the back of Fridge here. Camo is up. You have to feel like the game is going to come down to this battle for Camo here. As APG puts the shots down, has a little bit of help pushing from top mid, and it's Formal with that Camo, in fact. That's a huge pickup for Formal, as OpTic Gaming are now up 6, looking to put the finishing touches on what's been a very mixy series, Garrett.
It all started when Formal got the first Camo. Now he's got the second, and they just can't deal with it. Every point of separation has been because of this guy on your screen. Double positive. And one of the most important series of this tournament, and he just can't be stopped. Formal is continuing to wreak havoc on the side of Quadrant. It's 2, and they're in a dire position. Suddenly, this game has gone away from them, and it's been because of Formal's plays.
It was 33-35, Garrett. Now 46-37. I say it all the time. The best teams in the world, they have that switch they can flip in the back of their heads collectively to turn it on when the moment matters most.
Just 2 more kills. Formal not able to take one out with him, but the trade is there. Trippy gets them to 49. It would truly take a miracle. But surviving the Game 5 is OpTic Gaming as they push forward. SLG falls. And what could have been truly in a Cinderella story is stomped out by Formal. Formal was able to do what needed to be done. I mean, just how good is this guy? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He is, what, a decade and a half into his FPS career, and he's icing up. He's being that leader that you need, right? We talk about how great Lucid is and how he's going to cement himself in the halls of history. But it's when you pair him with the veteran who knows, that has the experience of getting the job done, that makes the difference. 16-5. After getting dominated in Game 4, he comes out 16-5. He only had 2,800 damage taken. That's one of the most impressive individual performances you can see in a Slayer to help your team win in a critical game.